Yes, it is Tuesday, and guess what happens on Tuesdays? We have our next episode, as Saul sees it, the podcast that really talks about all the different things that are going on in my life with all my relationships, friendships, business relationships, everything's going on. That's what we talk about, other than politics, religion, or vaccinations, because people get offended by that. So today we're actually going to be talking with my good friend Zach. I've known Zach since high school. Zach he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, but I'm going to just do a quick intro. Zach is from Team Mr. Mortgage. He is helping clients find their dream homes and getting them approved in record time. So thank you, Zach, for joining us today.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on here for sure. That's one of those things that it's always nice to connect with old friends. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the business and what you're doing, how things are going for your business right now.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you just briefly a little bit about myself. Yeah, it's funny. You and I think we go back a little further than that. I think we're both Meridian guys. I don't think we knew each other that well back in grade school, but I think we both you were Meridian, right? Back in the day.
No, I went to Johnson. My son goes to Meridian.
Okay. You just had your kids. Okay, gotcha. My bad. Well, my bad. Apologize. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No.
So, it's funny. We do go back a long way. You know me from high school, and I would have told you up until probably like a week ago that about a decade ago I lost everything, and I would have told you that, and I would have been 100% wrong. I'm a guy who grew up with family. My mom has 5 siblings, and so my cousins are huge. I can more cousins than I can count on either hand. Grew up Sundays were family days at my grandparents' house, that sort of thing. And I was also always an overachiever. So that was something that was really important to me. And so, in high school, big things happen in life. And we ended up having a son, giving him up for adoption. And unknowingly didn't really realize how that impacted my life. And it kind of derailed me for a long time. Put myself in a lot of bad positions and did a lot of self-sabotage. It's one of those things where, I had an opportunity. I could have played football at Stanford. Could have done a lot of great things, but spent a long time destroying my life. And wasn't until actually I kind of got to the last point about a decade ago where I kind of put myself in a really bad spot, lost everything. I was actually in jail for being an idiot. And I came to realize that I was sabotaging myself because I realized that if I could succeed without my son, I should have succeeded with him. So got out of jail about a little over a decade ago. Less than 3 months later, I met my wife. Now in 2008, I'd gotten my real estate license, but then the market, like literally, it was hilarious. I got licensed. It was boom. It was hilarious because I passed my test for my real estate exam. I was the first guy done. Didn't even double check myself. I was that confident. Smashed it. And 2 months later, just imploded. So, I met my wife and I ended up getting very lucky partnering up with these guys. They moved out from St. Louis. We built this marketing company together, got an awesome experience with them where we built and sold this really great marketing company and actually sold it to one of my biggest clients, which was really cool. Got to travel across the country, get a really great education in business and dealing with C-level executives and managers and marketing executives and business owners and getting to kind of understand that perspective. And in that same time, when we were building that business, I reached out to my son, or actually through the adoption agency, reached out, met my son, really kind of came to a point where I planted my feet. And the reason why any of this is relevant, you asked me how I got into this business. We sold the marketing company. A buddy of mine who I'd known for years as a realtor, I said, hey, I'm going to go get my real estate license. He said, no, you're a mortgage guy. The way you think, you need to get into mortgages. Go get your mortgage license. So I did that. We sold the company. I went and I got my mortgage license. And in the meantime, I met my son and I've developed this amazing relationship. And the reason why I say this whole long-winded story is that I came to realize recently, my entire approach to doing what we do here and how I do what I do is that I take on and I bring on situations of people that really have no idea where they're going, that they have no idea how to get from A to B to C. Some people that think they can't qualify. And I help them build a plan. And I was recently at a really great event, and it kind of helped me understand a lot of what drives me. And I got done talking a little bit about myself, and one of the guy who was facilitating the event looked at me and said, "I bet you take on loans that other people say can't get done, right?" And I kind of laughed. I said, "Yeah." He said, "You never give up on them, do you?" And I just laughed. And it was just from him knowing my story. He knew that about me. And so thanks, Hernan. Yeah, it was really great building that business. But even more importantly, and what's come now is we built this awesome business with Team Mr. Mortgage. So I started in the mortgage world with kind of the call center environment. Did, working the 10-hour days, 5 days, 6 days a week. Really wasn't happy. We, learned a lot because I did a lot of volume, but it was miserable. It wasn't fun. It wasn't what I had seen in the business, seeing my friends who were in the real estate world. And so I was just, it was miserable. And we moved around a few places. I partnered up with some guys in those groups, started a couple businesses. And then finally, I partnered up with my senior broker now. He was a guy I worked with one of the small businesses that we depended on somebody else and it failed.
Yeah.
And we built this together. And so he brought me into Team Mr. Mortgage. eMortgage is our main brokerage. And we built this team. And we're in the process of actually adding a new LO directly, finishing up the contract for him, which is really exciting. And he's a guy who actually I've worked with before and trained. And so I'm really excited to bring him to the next level and show him how, we do it differently. Because it's funny, I work more now, probably realistically, than I ever did when I was working, 10-hour days or 11-hour days in the office. But it doesn't feel like work anymore because I'm doing it the way I want to do it, and I'm helping people, and it's all for my family. I do it, from a home office, and I also have the office we can meet with if needed, but it's just a different beast. So that's kind of the 10,000 or the rambling version of what we do and how I got into it, if you will. But I love it, man. This has been the greatest gift. About 3 years now, self-employed. With Mr. Mortgage, and it changes everything. Being a broker, I'm not going to smash on anybody or talk bad about anybody. I'll just say, to my experience, being in this position now, I'm in a lot stronger position to help people take the next step, I guess. Excuse me.
And then one thing I know that from us, your ads on Instagram, Facebook, why you got into this, when you purchased your house, you realized how difficult it was to deal with these, right? I know we've had that discussion, and that kind of definitely helped you, get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. You're cutting out on me there. Are you still with me?
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Just sorry.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, actually that's 100% true. Let's see if I get the Zoom to work. Sorry. Hey, hello. Sorry, I move around a lot so the Zoom doesn't catch me. Yeah. So when my wife and I bought our house, actually it was when we had that marketing company. So it was before we'd sold it, and my wife had some disability income. She'd had a surgery, and the guy we had just really wasn't that good. First things first, he saw what I made, and so he saw what I qualified for, sent me shopping. And I didn't ever think, I'd never bought a home. I didn't even think to look at the payment. He said, "Here's what you qualify for." I figured, okay, great. That's what we're buying, right? Well, then we shopped, looked at like 10 houses, found the one we wanted to put an offer in on, and then he showed us the payment. I was like, whoa, no, that's not what we want to do. So shifted gears and then went and found the house that was in the budget range we wanted to be in, and it was 60 days to close the loan. And for a purchase, you can't. We got very lucky that the people wanted to sell to a family, because they really could have walked at any point with our money, with our deposit too, which is, more frustrating. And knowing what I know now, it should have never been that way. It's a couple of phone calls and you make a couple of quick shifts and you find the answer. It was really just explaining disability income. She had like an AFLAC style, I don't know. You actually don't mean to say that. It's Supplemental Disability Insurance Program. I apologize, sir. Apologize.
All right. It's all right. I don't sell many of those.
But I use the brand name because it's well known, but you understand it well. And they just didn't know how to explain it. And that created problems. That it's such an easy answer. And so when I got into this business as well, and I think it all kind of ties in together, that experience together with my drive and my past, nobody should ever have that experience. Buying a home, it's already stressful enough. It's your home for your family. It's the roof over their head. It's typically one of the largest investments anybody's going to make. There shouldn't be stress because a loan officer doesn't know how to ask the right questions. That's just silly. You know what I mean?
So with that said, is that, I know that when you're doing stuff, I see your post and you're saying, hey, I just got this loan. It was a complicated loan. I got it approved, got it streamlined, I got an offer. What do you get, or what do you do to get your clients pushed through that process so quickly?
That's a really good question. Well, it's all in the footwork up front. And I set expectations with my clients up front that I'm going to ask for a lot of things up front. I ask a lot of questions up front. We dig in. One of the things is that it's probably the most personal financial conversation you're ever going to have with somebody that's you don't know and that you're not in bed with, honestly, or doing your taxes with. I'm going to get into everything because I have to, because an underwriter is going to. And so part of what I do is I dig in, and I've learned, and the benefit of kind of my early experience in those call center style environments was that we did a ton of volume. I mean, I took calls and took calls and took calls. And so the level of volume that I took, you see so many different situations and scenarios. And then at one point, actually, I was managing a team of people in a call center mortgage place, and you see, triple that number. And so the answer is to kind of learn what the underwriter is going to ask for up front, ask the questions, and know kind of the red flags, and then dig in on those red flags enough, and then document it. Documentation is everything, and it's kind of a hard thing. And so let me clarify. When people get into document gathering mode, that's the time. When people are excited and they're ready to move forward, that's when you put everything together. Here's the list, be comprehensive, get it done. But when you get me these, we're going to fly through the underwriting process. It's the fight back and forth when people, for whatever reason, if it's a difficult document to get, that's where you end up running into problems. And so part of being able to keep it streamlined is getting the buy-in that, listen, I know sometimes things are tough to get. I know sometimes it's 45 minutes on the phone with the IRS, which sucks. Nobody likes that. Yeah, I know you have, child support stuff, which is kind of a hot topic recently. You got to deal with the courts, and that's always a nightmare. And another thing that's been really fun recently with all the COVID stuff, the CARES Act put student loans in forbearance that people didn't even ask. I saw mortgages go into forbearance where all they did was call and ask about it, and the company put them into a forbearance program. And so we have to address those things. And so looking for those, that's the answer. It's the footwork up front and getting the buy-in that if I ask you for it, that's what I'm going to need. A common thing that we run into where you have loan officers that drag it out is they accept, well, this is all I can find. Well, that's not what the underwriter asked for. And if I can't at least tie it to that document that they're asking for and draw a real straight line to it, they're not going to take it. And I can argue with you back and forth, and I could submit what they're not going to take, and we can come back and we can go back and forth, or you can listen to me and put the extra effort in. And so that's it. It's experience, knowing, and then also is getting the client's buy-in that it's time. When you do the work, and then luckily, usually we do that work up front, and it's like those posts you see. It's one or two conditions. It's a updated pay stub. It's a verification of a deposit or this or that. It's really small stuff.
Nice. Yeah. If you do the homework and you advise them, hey, I'm gonna need this, this, and this, A, B, C, right? You're going, I need this to get a B. I need this to get to C. It's gonna go smoothly. So that's a good thing that you're telling them up front, because a lot of times in business, and this is any business, right? People are scared to ask for information because they're thinking, hey, I've struggled to get this client to just say yes, right? To just even agree to have the conversation or to refinance the house or whatever the case is. And now I'm asking them for information. They're going to be like, wait, no. I thought it was going to be easy. I didn't think I had to do anything. And I'm like, no, you kind of have to set that expectation and say, you have to do something in order to get this done, right? You want to save yourself some money. So
yeah, 100%, man. I mean, that you have to have. There's going to be some effort. With the digital age, a lot of it's easier now. We can get a lot of stuff online. We can do a lot of employment verifications and stuff online, and you can upload documents online. We don't have to do all the scanning anymore and all that stuff. But yeah, you have to have the buy-in. And part of that is coming across without, putting it in an organized fashion. And doing it up front. Here, this is what I need now. Boom. And you know what though? Also knowing what you need. That's a big thing. Yeah. I have a template email that we've created over time. It's conditions. There's like 40 things on there that I whittle down from. That's the way I work from it. I'll put the template email up, and I'll look at the client files I'm putting together for their document list, and I just select what they need, and I'll take off what they don't. And it grows too with experience or with changing in experience of situations or documents and all that.
But just the experience, you get to ask those right questions. You already know what they need. Like you said earlier, you were thrown in the deep end at first, right? And you're like, you saw all these files coming in. You're like, I got to do it. So, hey, so one question that everyone wants to know right now: the interest rates are the all-time low, right? And I keep on getting asked by clients, is like, is it the perfect time to refinance? Do they see it's going to go lower? Is it the perfect time to buy a house? You on the other end, what should I be telling my clients, or what should people that are actually thinking about doing this be thinking in their head? What should I do?
It's a really good question. So two separate boxes, right? So we'll look at refinance first, and then we'll talk about purchase, because they're obviously two separate beasts. Going to depend on the goal, right? There's advantages to refinance right now, is that you can get most of the time done without a sorry, my brain froze, excuse me, without getting an appraisal done. So that's going to save you. And also values are up, at least in San Diego and nationally. I think I saw the numbers. It was 11% last year. We saw increase in value. Massive, right? And so I've literally had clients, man, who I've bought last year, refinanced, and I had one client that put 10% down. We got another 10% in equity, got rid of the PMI. I had another client that had put 5% down. We got another 7% in equity, got their PMI significantly lower. And also dropping their interest rate 0.5%. So there's some really good advantages there. And the rates are at all-time lows. Waiting for them to dip is never going to end up being a good decision. We actually have seen the last 2 weeks, we've seen an upward tick. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is we've had an upward tick and they're around 3%. And people go, oh my God, the rates are up. They're still all-time lows, right? I mean, my parents had an 8% and 8% variable rate when I was a kid, right? And 13%, I think, at one point. So they're amazing rates. And so we're also seeing record equity. And so there's a lot of advantage to refinancing. Look and see. My numbers are minimum of 0.5% drop relative to the loan amount and also to your payment savings, right? So what really matters to me, because if I'm worried about paying my home off faster, then I'm going to work. Obviously, I'm going to look at interest rate and really dig in on that. But if it's really payment savings, 0.5% is a good number as long as the payment savings makes sense for me. And then I always do recuperation costs. If I'm going to recuperate my costs by my payment savings alone within 36 months, then it's a good deal. That makes sense. If you're going to go longer than that, don't do it. Unless you want to, I mean, there's the argument, go long-term, and that's stupid. And some loan officers will try to sell that and don't buy it 36 months otherwise, because the numbers tell you that 5 to 7 years you're going to refinance or sell anyway. That's what the averages are in California or in San Diego. So, that's that. Now, so it's definitely some benefit to it. At least look at the numbers. If you're not in the threes, then look at the numbers. Definitely, if you're in the threes and you have good credit and good, have some equity, look at the numbers. Getting cash out, they're a little more strict on unless you have a lot of equity right now because of all the COVID risk. We are seeing some extra layer there, but again, good credit, good equity. I've had people that I've gotten record low rates with drop their rates a full percent and got them 100,000 in cash. So it's good there. Purchase is really interesting right now. And it's a great time to buy simply because real estate's always a good investment. 2, inflation numbers. Where do you want to have your money? You want to have it in real property when inflation hits. That's just kind of one of my opinions, at least. I'm sure I would love to hear your opinion on that. Actually, we should talk about that a little further. But that's one of the best places to put your money. Mortgage rates are at all-time lows. They bumped up a little bit here, but actually I think that's helped the buyers that have stronger profiles because that kind of washes out some of the buyers that are fighting at the top end. And in San Diego, most people are kind of fighting at the top end it's so
it's
for
San
the
Diego.
buyers
What
that
do
have a
you
little
expect?
more room, it opens up that inventory. And that's the number one problem right now for buyers is inventory. I've seen it's a competitive market, right? We've seen offers, 20 offers, 30 offers on houses, people. So I think there's actually advantage to that again right now. If you're in a good position, the equity, you're going to gain equity. I don't think what I haven't seen and what the data tells us is that it's not unhealthy. We're seeing steady market increase, not market increase, right? In terms of values. We're not seeing 2008 style or 2006, 2008 style values where they were just this kind of skyrocketing. Actually seeing appraisers trying to pull back on values a little bit right now, trying to be protective, which is good. It's not working because the demand's there, but we're seeing that too. So, and here's the thing. In terms of buying, you always have the tax advantage. That's huge. You're building an asset. You're going to build equity. Even if the people that had bought in 2008 were able to hold on to their homes and weren't in predatory loans and lose their homes because of really garbage mortgages, 99% probably 70% of them would still be in their homes and be, in positive positions, right? If not more than that. Even if we were to see a small pullback in values, which I don't really see happening right now, you're still going to always have equity. It's still going to gain. So.
Nice. Well, and it's funny that you brought it up. So, houses in 2006, 2007, 2008, they started skyrocketing, interest went down. What have lenders done to safeguard that mortgage crash? I know, they've adjusted a lot of different things. Their greed kind of came into perspective when that market crash happened. But what have they done to safeguard us from that? Because what you're seeing right now, and then me being from the outside looking in, right? I do financial planning, but I don't do the real estate stuff with, dealing with my clients on this side of it. When you're from the outside looking in, it's almost like the writing's on the wall, like this could happen again. But what if the loan? What have they done to protect us from that?
That's a good question. And, there's been a lot of protection. So the one thing people are talking about right now is the forbearance, right? And we're going to see a lot of foreclosures. And so talking about that, because that's really the hot topic right now, they moved so quickly to get the forbearance programs in place. It was almost impressive. I'm rarely impressed with anything the government does. And they moved well. And that's completely apolitical. They did a great job protecting the homeowners. And I think it was because they realized that we're not in a position, economically speaking, where we can take on the recovery that we have to take on just in general and also deal with the recovering housing market crash, right? It won't happen. I have this talk a lot with a good friend of mine who's an investor in some real estate. He also owns a bunch of commercial real estate. He asked me, he actually just closed on his second investment property within the last couple months. From residential versus commercial. And he was asking me, in my opinion, and I said, look, this exact thing, they're going to protect that because we can't afford that. So that's that piece. I think the forbearance programs, they're going to avoid having people have that lump sum and the foreclosure. We're not going to have that happen. I don't see it, at least, knock on wood, right? Give me some wood to knock on my head. Now, as far as the loans themselves, I can't talk to an appraiser anymore. I can't speak to them. There's layers of insulation between us. We have now appraisal management companies. So we're seeing record levels of equity in homes just in terms of on the refinance side, because people are keeping equity there. They're afraid. People aren't wanting to refinance cash out. That's another huge sign that we haven't seen from 2008. Yeah. But the appraisers, I can't even talk to them and engage value. And so that really insulates, because back in 2006, 2008, in that time, it was, you'd call the appraiser and say, hey, I need 600,000 on a $500,000 home. You got that other 100,000 like that. You can't do that anymore. Loan guidelines are a lot more strict, especially with COVID recently. I have found that you really have to dot your I's and cross your T's with the income. They're being extremely strict on how they look at any part-time or overtime income, bonus income, all of that, just because, again, fluctuation. And then any part-time income, they are on it with a laser microscope. It's crazy. So those are a couple of things they've done. Loan guidelines are much more strict. They've loosened and they changed, and they're going to evolve. I've noticed that they've evolved quite a bit recently, where we've seen some changes recently, both in reaction to COVID and then kind of some loosening. And that definitely is there to protect the market. There's tighter restrictions. You're not going to get your dog buying I don't know if you ever heard the stories about dogs buying houses, you buying it in your cousin's, uncle's, sister's, brother's name, all that. That's not going to happen anymore too.
Nice. Yeah. And that's, that's a good question. Cause sometimes it's, looking, like I said, looking from the outside in, you start seeing that as a financial planner. You're like, dude, you got to just get yourself ready, because this could crash on us real quick. Now, the question I have for you on the other side of it is that, do you see on your end, because I'm just looking at it from my end, do you see on your end people that are saying, hey, I've been living in San Diego. It's just super expensive to live here. I have all this equity. It might be time for me to just cash out and go into another state and be able to buy myself a bigger property or anything like that? Ton of people.
I think Texas, Arizona, Florida are all the most popular, obviously, right now. I tell you what, I was just in Florida for business, and if I didn't have my business established here, I'd definitely consider the move. It was beautiful. People were out there working, having fun, music in the streets, people having a good time, which, lo and behold, going out and being around people. Not to get political, but that plays into that factor, right? And it's expensive. Yeah. And the other thing I'm seeing is the exodus from areas like San Diego up north to Riverside to Temecula, those areas where they can afford a little bit of house, but that's actually even starting to climb. You're starting to see those areas tick up a little bit, but to have people that are willing to make the commute and actually go and drive 45 minutes to an hour just to get to work every single day. But I guess you're doing that in some places in Alpine if you're going to San Diego anyhow.
You got traffic. Traffic sucks anywhere you look at it.
Yeah. And to that point, if you're doing it to go home and your family has home and space, it makes sense. But as far as leaving California, I'm seeing a lot of people going to Arizona, a lot of Texas, a lot of Florida. Those are the three main ones. And then actually another one that I've seen surprisingly a lot recently was Utah. So
yeah. So, and then in your industry, when you're dealing with loans, how important is it to have your realtor relationships? I mean, is that your main bread and butter, or what are you doing, or what is the other side of it that you're doing your marketing on?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That was actually the number one most important thing in terms of growing my business. And that my first year, self-employed, I've told you this, if it wasn't for my wife telling me, no, you're not going to quit, I would have gone to work for somebody again because I hadn't built those relationships yet to where I was getting the referral business. I had people that I knew and I was, doing onesie, twosie loans. I hadn't learned how to do lead generation at that point. So I hadn't gotten to that. Wasn't really using Facebook at all to my benefit in any way. But I put the work in with the realtors. And yeah, one of the things I really believe, there's no coincidences. And there was one night I was at the office, and so I have an office at a brokerage, real estate brokerage. And I was there at 7 o'clock dialing for dollars, man. It was one of those desperate nights where I'm dialing through these garbage leads that I'd had. And um, lo and behold, one of my favorite and one of my best referral partners, a little 82-year-old Latina or Mexican lady. I don't even know Latina is the right term, but Mexican lady, Tony, comes in. She kind of like, I have a client. They need a pre-qual. You want to come meet them and can you help them? And we closed them. And that was my first clients with her. And she's been one of my greatest referral partners. I worked with her protege as well. And also, what's great about that relationship too, is that there's all the people there so loyal. I have so many referrals from those clients also. And that's everything. The relationships matter so much, getting together with realtors. But what's nice is that I don't the difference, I think, in where I'm at now versus where I was 2 years ago. Now I bring something to the table. Something that I'm doing that's different is I'm really doing a lot of lead generation on my own. I've actually just referred off to the guy who first ever referred me a lead. I got to give him a purchase lead. A guy who was just a beautiful, perfectly pre-approved client. They're working great together. And that's been my goal now this year, is to partner up with my partners that are with right now and leverage them up to the next level and show them, if they want to use Facebook the way that I'm using it with some of the videos. And I'm actually going to be dropping a lot more of those here very soon. If they want to do the lead generation we're doing, and I can just share some of what I have either way, just to reciprocate. I wouldn't be where I am without my real estate partners. And so it's really neat to be able to, for one, to know that I have a lot of people that trust me with business, and trust me with, their paycheck end of the day. But for two, that I've developed these partnerships with people that I'm looking forward to even growing further with and keeping going. Now that I'm bringing more to the table, because I've learned, I partnered up in this mastermind group. I mentioned them a lot, Legion of Loan Officers, great people, taught me a ton. And they've brought me onto this level of how to be good and how to generate business in my business and how to be successful in my business that I just didn't have. Having a mentor, having mentors is huge. And they've really brought me in. So now part of our program and part of what they preach is, look, bring it together, give them a reason to come to you. And it's been working. So.
Yeah, no, having a mentor in any business is huge. So, if you find it's for everyone out there, if you're self-employed, you need to find a mentor, someone is going to help you go through those ups and downs, because you definitely need that. So One last question, because I know, I try to keep these under 30 minutes. I know you have a busy schedule, is you mentioned your marketing, right? Your leads. I don't see anyone else. And I have a lot of followers. I follow a lot of people on social media. I don't see anyone else doing the type of lead generation that you're doing, going direct to consumer for your loans. Is that something that's new in your industry, or is that something that has been there? I just don't see it because I just don't follow those people on social media.
That's a good question. So there's a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff that you'll see that you don't even realize, that direct to consumer stuff that people like me pay for. And then so I think it kind of, that's a good question. There's a lot of companies that do a lot of that direct to consumer, but the way I do it, it's not even about, for me, it's not even about the videos, the stuff I do that in. It's not about lead generation for me there. It's about helping. It's about being there and putting something else out. It's funny because the videos have made me a lot of money. I've developed a great consumer base by people that have seen me, but it also gets me in front of people that I talk to. So what I'll do is I'll upload databases of realtors as well. I have different videos that go to my realtors that you'll never see, and they see me talking in those situations. You'll see real videos that I do to clients or partners and things like that you'll see. So there's some strategy behind that most people aren't doing. No, that's actually one of the certain technique that I've really gotten good at, is using video to target different demographics. I have a Realtor Series that we're going to be dropping really soon. That's exciting. We've been kind of planning it out. That's just specific. And I have built up a really nice database of realtors. Actually talking with one of our buddies, Matt Matt Smythe, shout out to
Okay.
him. He's with Goosehead. It's really funny, actually. I know we got to get going, but he partnered up with my insurance guy. He got into the residential world, and he's partnered up with I was so excited for him because he's a great guy. So there's a technique to use if actually for anybody out there who's interested, and I'm always happy to share it. And not trying to sell you anything. I'll just tell you how to do what I do. It's fun. But you got to put the work in.
I mean, we do it, and it's not complicated. It really isn't. You just have to understand social media and have your list and target it very specific. And you and I both know the more information you put out there, the more the times they see your face, the more videos you do, the more interaction they have that way. They're gonna finally eventually call you when they need something. That's just the reality of it.
It's the funniest thing where you have people that like I don't want to use much names, but people we went to high school with, people we went to school with, call me and say, "Oh, you do mortgages?" People I used to hang out with all the time, that because of where I was in my past, like we talked about, where I wasn't in that place where I am now. I was a much different man when I was 10 years ago, 15
we
years
all
ago.
were. We all were.
Yeah, nobody would have thought about buying a home with me 10 years ago, and I'm glad that I've earned the trust and I've grown past that. But yeah, so that helps because now they see me as the man that I am, and they see the man that I've grown into, which makes all the difference. It was great. Like I saw you doing videos with the Saul socks. It was the socks things that we were actually doing posts with that when you're going up the coaster. That was how we kind of reconnected, I think. And because it's that connection, right? It's more about connecting with the people there, and the business will take care of itself.
That is 100% true. That's definitely true. So our time is up, Zach. I do appreciate that. I just want to get one thought from you. I know that you have that big T-Win poster in the back. What are your thoughts on our Padres this season? Do you think we're going to take the division, or are we going to be fighting for the wild card against the Dodgers? And this, how do you think that's going to work out?
Let me tell you, I have never been more excited about Padres baseball. I was thinking next year, not this year, next season. And then when they started making those moves and we added those arms, man, we've never had an ownership team that is this engaged and invested. We were here. You were here for the fire sale years. I was talking with my cousins. We had this text group. We were talking about the Andy Brown, and kind of trying to compare the guns, and we were looking at the rotations of the '98 years, and
you can't compare. You can't compare. And I was in the same boat. I didn't think that with Clevenger being out for the season with Tommy John surgery, I didn't think it was going to be there. I know Gore is our number one prospect when it comes to pitching. I expect him to eventually get called up and fight for a starting rotation. You got McKenzie also. I think it's McKenzie, that 21-year-old, 22-year-old, there you got all these pitchers, right? And you're like, okay, it's going to take us a year to develop. And then they're like, boom, let's get this guy Snell. Boom, let's go get after you. And you're like, okay. And then next year we get Clevenger back, and these guys are under contract for at least 2 or 3 more years. It's gonna be an interesting time.
The fact that we locked Clevenger and the option for Clevenger too, because I was worried we were going to lose him, and the fact that we locked that option, man, for one, it's nice because they're committed still. You would think that Clevenger was an excuse, right? Clevenger would have been an easy excuse for a next year mentality, and they didn't allow that. And that's so impressive too. As a Padre fan, and having been through as much as we've been through, having been San Diego fans in general, it's refreshing because we've never had an ownership invest like that and be willing to say, okay, yeah, we'll get him back and we'll be even more dangerous. What? What I love, man, is people want to play here right now. People want to come and be a part of this ball club. They're fun, and they have so much. I can't wait to get and actually see them in person, because that as much fun as they're having together, playing together, that's got to be so much fun. And it will be so much fun in person.
It's the ambiance. You just, the music, they're all, you got Tatis, you got Machado, you got, Hosmer, you got every Myers. They're all having fun out there. And it's just, when I only played baseball one season when I was a kid, but it reminds me of me being a kid and just going out there and just hitting the ball and just having fun. Like, that's the one thing I'm super excited to check out this year, because it's going to be an awesome. And we just signed Tatis to a 14-year deal, so we definitely, as soon as they open up the floodgates to let us play, San Diego needs to come and support. We don't want these Dodger fans here for the series. We want to sell at the stadium and be all brown.
Be there, baby. Be there, baby. It's going to be
all brown. Well, once again, Zach, thank you for your time. If anyone's interested in talking to Zach about refinancing or any type of loans, feel free to reach out to me. Send me a DM. I will send you Zach's information. Don't forget to join us next week. Next week, we'll actually have Ed Ledford. He's one of my business partners here at the wholesale firm for the life insurance. And because we're getting into spring, our normally when we would go on our Easter spring vacations, we're going to be talking about vacations. We're going to be talking about traveling and eating food, and it should be a really good one. Zach knows I'm a foodie when it comes to what I do, but Ed takes it to a whole nother level. So I'm pretty excited about that because he's visited some really cool places, and I'm excited to hear get some ideas of where I want to go visit. So tune in next week. Zach, thank you so much for your time again. I appreciate it. And I'll send you any lead that comes in our way. Thank you very much. Don't forget, everyone, to go on YouTube, subscribe to our video as Saul sees it, and we'll see you next Tuesday live at 5. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya.